Hey friends, how are you? So today I'll be talking about the Saturn transit to Sagittarius sign. That's going to happen in January 2017, and how this transit will affect people with Aries moon sign, Taurus moon sign, and Gemini moon sign. Now Saturn currently is in the Scorpio sign, and Saturn doesn't do very well in Scorpio. Saturn doesn't do well in Scorpio and it doesn't do well in Aries. It's debilitated in Aries. That's because Saturn considers Mars to be its enemy. There is a lot of enmity between Mars and Saturn, and the very the very fact that there is a lot of enmity between Mars and Saturn uh, is because of several reasons. One, Mars is a fierce planet. Mars is a go-getter. Mars is all about fire, whereas Saturn, on the other hand, is a very tamasic planet, right? It's a very laid back planet. It's a planet which will help you, which is a taskmaster, which will talk about uh, how you develop or cultivate, patience in you, and so on. Hence hence these are two extremely opposite planet, and hence they don't really do well. Also, Saturn sign Capricorn is where Mars is exalted. Mars does really well in Capricorn, but in Mars signs, Aries and Scorpio, Saturn doesn't do really well, and hence there is a lot of enmity, animosity between Mars and Saturn. Now, also because Scorpio is a sign of transformation, right? Sudden ups and downs, lot of transformation. That's what happens in it's a watery sign, and there's a lot of ups and downs and transformation is what you associate yourself when you talk about Scorpio. Now the problem here is because this is that kind of a sign, and Saturn, the nature of Saturn is a laid back planet, a very slow moving, laid back, is not ready for changes, uh, hence it doesn't really do well in a sign which is very sudden, which is all about transformation, which talks about ups and downs. It doesn't really do well. So hence, a lot of people uh, don't really go through a great phase when Saturn is in Scorpio, you know now now into January 2017, Saturn moves from Scorpio to Sagittarius. Now Scorpio is, if you talk about the birth chart, the Kala Chakra which you talk about, Saturn is Scorpio is the eighth house, and Sagittarius is a ninth house. So Saturn moves from Scorpio and goes to Sagittarius. Now Sagittarius is a much better sign for Saturn to be in. It may not be the best of the signs for Saturn, but still Sagittarius is a much better sign in comparison to Saturn, for in comparison to Scorpio, for Saturn to stay. Now the very reason for that is one. Sagittarius is about higher learnings. It's not about sudden transformation. It's not about ups and downs. It's about higher learnings. Why? Because it is a ninth house. So it's about higher learning. It is about religious beliefs. It is about knowledge, higher knowledge. And the ruler is Jupiter. Saturn is okay with Jupiter. It's a neutral planet. Jupiter is a neutral planet for Saturn. The relationship is quite neutral. Sometimes you see a combination of Jupiter and Saturn will do very well. A conjunction of, if there's a conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter in your chart, that can sometimes give very good results. Now, now when Saturn moves to Sagittarius, it's a little more stable. So for most of the people around who are having a tough time at this period of time, things might just improve. But to see transit, you can see transit from your ascendant. You can also see transit from your moon sign. For me, and what my research tells me, is that when you look into transit, and I've already done a video on transit and dasha as well, for transit you should always look the transit from the moon sign, where moon is placed. So if moon is placed in the fourth house of your chart, make that fourth house as your ascendant and see where is Saturn transiting. So from your moon sign, transit really work well. And I mean, you may beg to differ. You may decide to not agree to me. That's okay with me, But for me, uh, Saturn or the Saturn transit has to be seen, or for that matter, any other planet, Jupiter, Rahu, Ketu, Mars, any other planet, that should be seen from your moon sign. So I'll be talking about three sign in this video, and then in the upcoming videos I'll be talking about other signs as well. So let's start with Aries. Now, for people who are born with Aries moon, Saturn was transiting through their eighth house, which is really really difficult position. Saturn doesn't do well in the eighth house. They, some people have even told that the eighth house transit of Saturn is much more difficult than Shani Sadesati, because the tough time you go through a 7.5 years, here you will go through that in 2.5 years. I'm not sure if that's correct, because for me that is not the case. Eighth house transit is a very difficult transit, but to compare it with Sade Sati or other transits, is not something I really look at. For me, eighth house is a difficult transit, and I completely agree to that. Hence, now when Saturn moves from eighth house to ninth house in January 2017, there's a lot of relief that will happen. People will get a lot of relief. So for Aries moon sign people, you should really really be happy of the fact that Saturn is leaving your Scorpio sign or your eighth house and is moving to your ninth house. So things will start improving. Of course, the difficult thing for you guys right now is even Jupiter is transiting through a difficult house for you. So so in the mid of uh, uh, 2017, when Jupiter transit to Libra, which becomes your seventh house, that is the time when you'll really prosper because uh, Saturn has moved from a very difficult sign, from a very difficult house, that is your eighth house, to ninth house, which is slightly better than the eighth house transit. And at the same time, Jupiter transits will transit through your seventh house. So that will be a great relief for you guys, and you guys will prosper. There will be possibility of marriages happening in your life. You may, or if you're not in, if you're too young, then you may have somebody uh, with whom you can go around, and you can fall in love and so on. All those things can happen in the mid of 2017. You expect to do well in your career as well, and you can prosper in, if you're into business. That will definitely help you. You will do well in business as well if you have business. So 2017 January, things will start to improve. From 2017 mid, things will really improve. And if you're also, it depends on your mahadashas and antardasha, and that will play a great role. So if you have a kind of decent mahadasha and antardasha going, then 2017 will be a good year for you. That's what is my thought process. Now let's move to the next sign. The next sign is Taurus. Now for Taurus, Saturn was in your seventh. Uh, Saturn was your seventh house. Unfortunately, now Saturn will move to your eighth house. Now, that will be a difficult transit for you guys. Uh, you need to have a lot of patience. Like, there can be possibility that you may have some fear, some anxiety, some depression. You know, things like that can happen. But need to have patience, because Saturn anyways has moved from a difficult sign. As I said before, from a difficult sign called Scorpio, it has moved to Sagittarius. So that itself is a good thing. But for people with Taurus moon, it's a little tricky position to be in, because Saturn, will create some kind of problem for you guys for the next 2.5 years. Of course, Jupiter transit, and then will definitely help you. And Jupiter currently is in your fifth house, so till July August time frame, till the time it has not moved to Libra, it will still support you, and it will still help you to combat with this difficult transit of Saturn for you. But after mid 2017, when Jupiter moves to your sixth house, it will be a little difficult period for you. uh, Things will become a little difficult. You will have uh, anxiety, depression, and you may create some fear. There can be some unwanted thing that may happen in your life. Now it's a good time. It's a good time to do spiritual practice, to go to understand that you know life is not all about good things. So it's a great time for you to understand what you are. It's a good time for you to you know to do a little bit of soul searching, and things then may work out. Now the third sign which I'll be talking is Gemini. Now in case of Gemini, uh, Saturn was in their sixth house, and Saturn does exceedingly well in sixth house. Saturn does really well in the Upachaya house, the house 3, 6, 11, and to some extent 10. So these are the houses where Saturn really does well. So Saturn for you has been really supporting you in these 2.5 years, in the last 2.5 years. Of course, you need to have a good Mahadasha and Antardasha to give the maximum effect of this transit. But if you're going through a good, Dasa period, then Saturn transit will really, really must have added you know, to your good time. Now, what will happen now is there will be some kind of difficulties. Seventh house isn't really a bad position for Saturn, but it's not a good position for Saturn as well. Uh, so so there can be some challenges, and of course you also are not going through a great Jupiter transit. So 2017 beginning, there will be little bit of difficulty for you guys as well. There can be some delay in marriage if you're planning to get married, or something like that may happen. But understand that Jupiter will transit in your fifth house from July August 2017, and that's where things will drastically improve, because Jupiter will transit through your fifth house. That's one of the best transit for Jupiter. Jupiter does really well when it's transit, you know, in your fifth house. So Jupiter currently is in Gemini, so which is your fourth house. Uh, in mid 2017, it will transit your fifth house, so things will get much better. Things will get much better. So have patience for first 6 7 months, and then I think with the Jupiter transit, things will definitely improve for you. So this is what I wanted to tell in this video. uh, this transit will be there for almost 3 years. I mean, I'm talking about 2.5 years, but the fact is that this transit will be there for 3 years. Why? Because for a few months in 2017, and if I'm not mistaken, from July to December time frame, or November time frame, Saturn will retrograde and again will come back to Scorpio. Hence, Saturn stays in one sign for 2.5 years. But because in this particular transit, Saturn is coming back again to Scorpio for 4 5 months, hence this transit will be for 3 years. So Saturn will remain in this Sagittarius sign. Of course, it will move back to Scorpio for around 5 to 6 months, but mostly it will be there in Sagittarius from 2017 Jan till 2020 Jan. So that is the time when Saturn will be there in Sagittarius. Great, guys. So this is what I wanted to tell in this video. In the next video, I'll be talking about the other signs. How will Saturn do in those signs? Thank you for watching my video. Do subscribe my channel, and do share my video if you like it. Thank you so much.